Talk about a catch-22. That $7.7 million program to dredge the Shinnecock Canal is on hold again. The federal government won't kick in its share of the dredging costs until New York State contributes its $1.8 million share. But the state can't put its money up until the fiscal year begins, and that's not until April 1st of next year. Now, fishermen insist the sandbar outside the Shinnecock Inlet claimed at least 3 lives during the past year alone.
A Valley Stream diner was destroyed by an early morning fire today. Fire broke out just after 3:30 this morning at the Valbrook Diner located on East Merrick Road near Cornwall Avenue. One firefighter suffered minor injuries while battling the blaze, which caused about $350,000 in damage. The fire marshal's office is investigating, and they say the fire could be electrical in nature. The diner was in the process of being renovated. And arson is suspected in a fire that caused heavy damage to a historic building in East Rockaway. The fire started in a garbage pile outside the Wild Duck Inn on Front Street and Althouse Avenue in East Rockaway about 8:20 last night. The flames spread quickly to the century-old inn, causing about $10,000 worth of damage. This is the second fire at the Wild Duck Inn in less than a week. In Islip, church leaders are vowing to rebuild St. Mark's Episcopal Church. Fire gutted the 109-year-old church early yesterday morning, despite a $50,000 sprinkler system installed just a year ago. Other Long Island Episcopal parishes are offering their help to rebuild St. Mark's and their churches to St. Mark's congregants for Christmas.
You know, as an island, we have marshes, rivers, and streams that really make Long Island a unique place to live. But at a legislative hearing yesterday, experts warned lawmakers that Long Island's wetlands are vanishing. News 12's Roger Stern has more.
The Interior Department has placed 11,000 acres of Long Island wetlands on its priority list. Wetlands the government says are most critical to the environment and are most in danger of development. Witnesses told a state legislative committee that despite laws to protect the wetlands, they are still disappearing.
These communities are experiencing rapid development and growth, resulting in loss of many of these wetlands and their associated water quality preservation characteristics.
As recently as this year, the state has adopted new laws to protect Long Island's wetlands, and witnesses say the laws have helped, but they pointed to areas where those rules could be improved.
We've had many specific suggestions for legislative ideas, and we will evaluate them. Perhaps we have to be more stringent in terms of requirements of either protecting an existing wetland or replacing a wetland that may be degraded by a certain kind of development.
Lawmakers hope that if they tighten the rules again, they can stop the loss of wetlands altogether. At Jones Beach, Roger Stern, News 12, Long Island.
You know, I think sometimes we forget just how special Long Island is ecologically, and you know, you'd know stuff like that, being a meteorologist and involved in science.
It's proven, you know, if wetlands disappear, you know, you don't know the full ramifications till years down the road. They're finding that out in the Everglades.
Right.
The disappearing of the construction of the Everglades has changed meteorologically the entire climate of South Florida, at least temporarily. It's caused they're not getting as much rain, and that's in turn shrinking the size of the Everglades even more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you know, one thing always leads to another.
Be careful.
Mm-hmm. Always has its ramifications no matter what you do. We've got a few things to talk about, folks. So first off, what is this today? It's warm. It's unusual. It's welcomed. At the pace we're going, this could turn out to be a record December. Forget about October. A record December. We wish it felt like it was October, but that's not to be. The one warm day today is we have warm air coming up from the south, but because the air has been so cold, warm air can't really get here, at least with sunshine. The sunshine will be limited. It hits that cold air. You see all the cloud cover that breaks out to our south, and those clouds will be with us this afternoon into this evening. With another Arctic cold front coming and this moisture drawing its way up from the southwest, we expect to see a round of rain showers here this afternoon into this evening, and then the Arctic front will push on through and continue moving southward. So the warm-up is temporary. Another shot of cold air will come down tonight and last right through this coming weekend, we think. I don't think we're going to get a brutal shot like we had a couple of days ago, but still temperatures are going to drop back down to about 10 to as much as 15 degrees below normal. You'll see the difference, at least for today, because of that warm air, readings in the 40s and 50s. These were the morning lows across the eastern states and along the Gulf states. Pretty warm, about 20 to 25 degrees warmer than temperatures over the last couple of days. Here's the Arctic front. These are the highs which were achieved last night across the Great Lakes states and the northern plains, and these temperatures are falling all day long today through the 30s and into the 20s. They're going to go below zero tonight across the northern plains. We'll see that cold air get here and then set us up for something maybe more important precipitation-wise come this weekend, at least to come late Friday into Friday night. We'll talk about that more a little later in this program. Here's your boating forecast for the rest of this day. Southwest winds at 10 to 20 knots. 2 to 4 foot seas on the ocean, 1 to 2 feet on the Sound, 2 to 4 miles visibility, water temperature in the mid-40s, and tides are running near normal. High tide times for Jones Beach, Port Jeff, and Montauk Point for your enjoyment and your convenience.
We'll talk more about the possibility of snow later, okay? Okay, thanks, Joe. Some say it was a bureaucratic blunder, but others contend it was just plain wrong. And now the Suffolk legislature has to decide why 2 former park ranger horses were destroyed. News 12 first reported the story about the horses that were supposed to be retired, but instead were killed. And News 12's Carolyn Gussoff now brings us up to date on the investigation.
John Sheridan used to be Suffolk's Parks Commissioner. The lives of these 2 park ranger horses were his responsibility, but the horses became too expensive for the department, so Sheridan retired them to the Suffolk County Farm. Sheridan says that's where his responsibility for the horses ended. He says a worker at the farm sold the horses without his knowledge.
The purchaser kept them for a couple of days, and one of them fell in the stall and had to be destroyed. The other horse was, in fact, sold for auction.
That's a nice way of saying the horse was sold to a dog food company. The death of the 2 horses has struck a nerve in the county legislature. Peter Fox and Turk, photographed here last year, were police horses who spent most of their 20 years working for Nassau and Suffolk government. Legislators wanted them to have a dignified retirement, and they went to great lengths to see that they were sent to the farm to live out their final years. The former Parks Commissioner says he turned them over to the farm in good faith.
It just looked like he intentionally went out to destroy these horses. Now, we just don't do those things. That's clearly understood.
Somebody screwed up in that department. Somebody did.
I think there was a mistake. I think they dropped the ball. They sent the horses over. They never notified us. If it truly were an error and they were really, disturbed by it, they would have called the legislators. They would have let us know by memo, something, and they didn't.
But if mistakes were made, the Parks Department isn't taking responsibility for them.
We tried to find them a responsible home for their retirement purposes. Now, what happened beyond that, which was unfortunate, was beyond our knowledge.
So ends the investigation into the death of the 2 horses. The legislature isn't planning on investigating further or taking any action against the former commissioner. His answer stands that his department never intended that the horses be destroyed. But as one legislator said after hearing his explanation, I hope the horses believe that, wherever they are. In Hauppauge, Carolyn Gussoff, News 12, Long Island.
Coming up on News 12, Americans get out of the Philippines as a state of emergency is declared.
You've heard the plans that fares could go up on the Long Island Railroad come the beginning of the year. It's happening at the same time that on-time performance is slipping to 80%. Well, Long Island, how would you grade the Long Island Railroad right now? We're asking, and here's what you're saying.
My name is Prem Kamath. I live in Sioux City, Long Island, and work in Manhattan. And I think I would give letter B to Long Island Railroad.
My name is Castro. I'm from the city. I would rate them a B.
Why?
Well, there are delays, they're deciding to raise the prices, it's not that, it's not that fair for a lot of people, especially that commute out here to the island.
My name is Doug Field. I'm from Brooklyn. I ride the railroad once or twice a week. Having ridden it for the last 20 years or so, I remember it was an F about 7 years ago. I'd give it about a B to B plus about now.